Hey guys, and here's the second trade recap for the price action we saw today. And this time we're gonna be looking at US oil on a 15-minute chart. Now I'm gonna show you the power of multi-time frame analysis. So we see on a 15-minute chart, we are in quite a range. So we have Tuesday's high and Tuesday's low right here. Let's copy this. And this is going to be Tuesday's low. And this is the current trading range we are trading within. So within this range, during the early Asian session here at 8 till 11 p.m. New York local time, we created a low and a high during this session. What it likes to do early London, especially after we saw a squeeze consolidation here, is that it likes to trap traders, breakout traders especially, below this Asia low to take it down short, so enough short sellers are in the market for them to just reverse it back up to go high, basically. So that's where we are sitting right now. And I waited because I missed the first half an hour of price action basically on US oil. And we see after a little bit of consolidation, which I already didn't like, pretty choppy. Oopsala, let's go back. We got this little fake out reversal here. So we broke out to the downside. Of course, if you are a Scalper Pro breakout trader, you very likely would have been trapped if you would have only been looking at a 15-minute chart. But what I like to do is I want to look at exactly what happened down here. So I'm gonna get rid of the Session Pro for a minute. And I want to analyze what happened down there. So I lower it down to a 5-minute time frame. And we see, okay, we got our breakout, but afterwards we only got small little body candles. Basically all of them were dojis. We would expect a pullback for it to continue. But like in the video on Euro US dollar, I mentioned it either breaks out, pulls back and continues to the downside, or it breaks out and reverses for a false break. And now we're trying to look for reasons what is happening down here. Even if we catch a entry somewhere around this area, which I later on did, right as soon as I saw the 1 minute turning bullish and breaking out of the scalper bands, that's exactly where I placed my entry. And what did we see? If we zoom in a little, we can see even though it's not the perfect W formation, I mentioned those yesterday in the Telegram group, we had a W, came back to our Asian session low, broke back down, and continued the rally back up. Very stretched out W pattern, but if we check the Scalper Pro, do you see that? We broke out on the 1 minute to the downside, continued in our bullish reversal zone, had a low, and here, right here, that's a perfect example for divergences. We had our low, and we had equal lows, whereas here, we created a higher low, and we had a bullish divergence confirmed. So on the Scalper Pro, we turned bullish at 3:34 New York local time. But I was still busy managing my Euro US dollar trade, so I couldn't focus on this chart. So I joined a little bit later to that party, but the first area that I would have drawn up would have been right around this level here, around those relative equal highs. And as soon as we see it break above here, we basically have the confirmation. So I went back to the 5-minute chart. And after I saw this bullish divergence, and I had the idea that this is going to be a false break, because also the Euro US dollar and everything else just rallied up, and the US dollar just plummeted. So I was looking for a long opportunity. Let's get rid of this little arrow here. And I hopped into my first long position right here with the stop loss a little bit below the Asia low, looking for a 2-to-1 minimum. And my higher target would have been somewhere around this area, Tuesday's high. Because if they already did this here, this little false break, they tried to trap traders down short. They didn't choose to do it below Tuesday's low. So I always look at those session lows and daily lows and highs. So they did this false break already during the Asia lows, and we see Session Pro We're already one and a half hours into the London kill zone. So we had this forced break within the first 5, 15, 30 minutes of the London opening at 3 a.m. New York local time. So let's continue. Right after the entry, we continued up to our equal highs that we defined earlier. The next area I would have been looking at is roughly where the market started to reverse back down at midnight New York local time, so back to the Asian session high, because we also haven't touched this area. That's where I would expect some volatility to happen, or some rejection, a pullback you could say. So what happened? We touched it, we closed right at this high, we broke above it and formed a doji. At this point I was concerned, but I let the trade run. I moved my stop loss closer to my break-even zone because I already managed to bank some nice profit on Euro US dollar by this time. So let's continue. And then we got the pullback. So again, above the Asian session highs right here, we broke above it. Pretty much that what we did with the Asia lows, and we started to pull back. Right here we have the VWAP. So let's see what happened. We pulled back, and now there are three things market do. They break out, they pull back, and they continue, or they break out for a false break scenario that we had down here, and they reverse. And we had this reverse idea based on the 1 minute bullish divergence below this Asian session low, and those ugly candles followed by a massive bullish candle right back above the VWAP. So let's continue. So we hit our take profit of 2 to 1 pretty easily, but I left a little runner in my position, targeting the Tuesday high. Usually what I do, I like to place it a few points or ticks or whatever below this high, because yeah, just to play it safe. And let's see what happened. We continued with the trend. Right now we're stopping. We formed a big consolidation, just wick, doji after doji after doji. And we hit our last take profit for almost a 4 to 1 risk reward. So ending up netting roughly 2.5% on this trade, risking 1% here. And at the same time, roughly risking 1% on the Euro US dollar trade. And I'm done for the day with a nice, simple, explainable setup. Let's see where we are right now. So we broke out, and we start to pull back. So we had our breakout, we're pulling back, or we're more or less only consolidating. So it's gonna be exciting to see what happened after here. But I'm done. I don't care what's happening afterwards or in 5 hours from now. The first time I'm gonna be actively looking for trading opportunities is tomorrow at roughly around this London time, because it's very handy for me. You can do the same setup during the New York session. Let me scroll back here. So outside of the London and New York kill zone, we again had a W formation. That's the one I pointed out yesterday. We had our low, pullback, lower low, and we continued with the rally to the upside. And where would have been your entry? We had our Scalper Pro breakout on a 5-minute chart above VWAP, right on this candle. So we broke out. You could either say, hey, I'm waiting for a little pullback, so I'm waiting for this move to finish. I'm drawing my fibs, and I wait for a pullback back to this blue line here. That's the 50% Fibonacci level. We pulled back, we jumped back right out of it, right here. So you could have caught a nice entry, maybe on a lower time frame down here. Who knows what happened there? And you could have profited from the continuation setup. And that's exactly what I mean. They break out, they pull back and they continue, or they break out for a false break and they reverse. Alright guys, thank you very much. That's the second trade recap for today. We will see how all this plays out. We didn't get a divergence here yet or anything. There hasn't been a major peak being formed. You always want to wait for for example, if there would have been a peak that looks like this with a little pullback, maybe another peak, and then that's what reversals look like. Because then enough people are anticipating it to go long. They place a long entry here. They all want to see it long, and market makers always have to wait until enough people want to see, for example, oil to go long, to just take the opposite side of their trades, because someone has to lose in order so someone else can make profit. So enough people have to believe they are going to make money here, so they enter long, and you want to see a peak formation with a pin bar, a doji, and a bearish engulfing candle or something similar to that. And that's when you're going to see those elevator down examples or trade setups. Alright guys, that's it for me for today. Those were my 2 trades. And yeah, I will see you next time.